Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andrade off. Will there be a suspension? A few more fights may be on. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Help us hit 10,000 subscribers. Welcome to Tuesday Night Fights. A packed show today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. Billy Joe Saunders stripped of his WBO middleweight belt, and there will be no fight with Demetrius Andrade. This did come to me as a bit of a surprise. I really thought they were going to let the fight go on. Don't get me wrong. I think, unfortunately, it's the right decision. Billy Joe Saunders was cheating, and this fight shouldn't go through. I just thought that the WBO and Eddie Hearn would let this thing go on. Billy came out and called Canelo all types of drug cheat and disgracing the sport and cheater and should be suspended forever and never allowed to fight again. Don't say those things, BJS. Not when you're cheating. Now there is some gray area with this. And I'm learning my definitions, but you have WADA, which is the World Anti-Doping Agency, which is kind of like the gold standard. They allow this. The substance that Billy Joe took, xylithin, I'm going to say that wrong. They allow you to take that out of competition, but not in competition. Meaning you can take it all the way up until the day of the fight, but not take it while you're actually fighting. According to Victor Conti, it passes through your body in about 24 hours. So you can take it 24 hours before you had to do your medicals. I would imagine you just can't take it from that point on. VADA bans it both in and out of competition. So that's where, and for this fight, the WBO, they agreed to take VADA testing, which is a little stricter, and it's in and out of competition. That's how Billy Joe popped. Look, if they agreed to VADA testing, if they agree to VADA testing, then Billy Joe agrees to the stipulations made by VADA, which is you can't take the substance in or out of competition. He agreed to that, and then he failed. Look, just because WADA allows you to take this, and so does the British Boxing Commission, they allow you to take this thing out of competition, doesn't mean it's not a performance-enhancing drug. It is. Victor Conti says it's tenfold stronger than the clenbuterol that Canelo took. Now, Victor Conti is famous. He obviously knows this business inside and out. He was Balco Labs with Barry Bonds and Shane Mosley and Jason Giambi and so on and so forth. Gary Sheffield, a bunch of names, right? So he knows what he's talking about, and that's what he said, that this is tenfold stronger than clenbuterol. And it does basically the same thing. Right? It's going to open up your lungs. It's going to allow you to breathe, retain lean muscle mass while you cut weight. It does the same things that Canelo was using the clenbuterol for. So I came down hard on Canelo for failing his test. I'm going to come down hard on Billy Joe. And you guys know that I'm a Billy Joe fan. Billy Joe is one of my favorite fighters. Was one of my favorite fighters. But he got busted. Again, no one takes these things. No one gambles, rolls the dice with their career and their legacy and their paydays, most importantly, if this drug's not worth it. Right? If the juice isn't worth the squeeze, if this isn't going to make me noticeably better, I'm not going to do it. It's not worth the risk, right? It obviously does, which is why they're risking their future to take this. Now, Frank Warren, Billy Joe Saunders' promoter, says he got this from a nasal spray. I have no idea if that's true. I'm sure it's not. Just like Canelo with the tainted meat. I'm sure that's not true either. But this is disappointing because I was really into this fight. You guys know I was leaning towards Billy Joe, but I could see this fight going either way. This was going to be master boxing, just beautiful boxing, 12 rounds of it, and we were going to see who was the more skilled fighter. I was really into this fight as a hardcore fan, as a fan of the sweet science, and as a fan of boxers as opposed to punchers and brawlers, right? But now we're not going to get it. Billy Joe Saunders and Frank Warren are saying this fight should go on because, again, WADA, who is the gold standard of anti-doping testing, it's not on their list of banned substances out of competition. So think of in competition and out of competition, right? Like alcohol, cocaine, marijuana, those are all not allowed in competition, but they're allowed out of competition. I mean, you can, whatever you do, you party hard on the weekends, whatever you do, that's fine. You just can't come in the ring like that. The substance Billy Joe popped for was on that list according to WADA, not VADA. So, and again, VADA is not mandatory, right, like WADA is. It was just something additional that they agreed to, but they did agree to it. So Frank Warren, we'll see if there's an appeal, but the Massachusetts State Athletic Commission would not license Billy Joe to fight. Thus, the WBO kept up their word and said, "Well, we're gonna strip Billy Joe." So, and there's no suspension. I want that to be understood too. There's no suspension in this because the Massachusetts State Athletic Commission can't suspend Billy Joe, right? Because it's one of those, he's never been licensed to fight in Massachusetts before. He's never fought there before. So it's kind of like, you don't do business with us, so, you know, they can't suspend him because he's never worked for them, kind of thing. You don't do business with us, you don't work for us, we're just not going to sanction you or license you. That's basically the most they can do. So there's no suspension with this. Billy Joe Saunders could literally go fight in another state or in the UK tomorrow if someone else would license him. But there's no suspension that comes along with this. But I think Massachusetts did the right thing. So Billy Joe Saunders is a former champ. So since he's a former champ, Andrade is no longer mandated to fight Billy Joe. Remember, Andrade was Billy Joe Saunders' mandatory opponent. Oh, Billy Joe's no longer the champ, so this fight is off. There's no saving it, right? So even if they came back and said, well, we want to move the fight to Texas, right? My home state of Texas. God bless them. They do sanction everybody. They don't care. They will sanction a dead man. You know, they will license a dead man. They don't really have any standards. But Billy Joe is stripped. I don't know if they're going to appeal the decision, but I mean, this fight's 2 weeks away, and it looks like it's going to go on, and Andrade's going to get a different opponent. But we will see, and we will keep you up to date on that. This is also really bad news for the Zone. We touched on that in our last episode on Sunday Morning Champion. The Zone's in a lot of trouble. This fight is a really good fight. You got Andrade, who's from Providence, Rhode Island, right outside of Boston. Big populated area, big fan base. You would have got a lot of subscribers. And then you have Billy Joe, who love him or hate him. In and out of the ring. He's a big personality. People love him. People love to hate him. You know, and he's a masterful boxer who knows how to put a show on. And this would have been a really good high-level fight. I mean, really good high-level fight. This had high-speed chess match written all over. Just the type of fight I love. And now it's off. And the Zone, again, it's a subscription-based thing. They're not gonna. People would have subscribed for that fight and maybe kept the subscription, right? No one's subscribing for Delarme versus Vargas. Like, nobody cares. This is a fight that people cared about. This is a fight that people would have forked their $10 up for and maybe, you know, kept the subscription going because they liked what they saw or forgot to cancel it. Whatever. I did that with that iCloud thing when I paid for the Usyk Garcia fight. I paid for that thing like 2 more months and whatever. But that's all they care about is your subscription fees. You got to get that each month. This is a fight that would have signed people up. Now they don't have it. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate for Eddie Hearn and the gang. Not that I feel bad for Eddie Hearn, but it's bad news in the sense that we don't get this fight. And it would have been a really, really good fist fight. But let me know what you think. Did you think Massachusetts did the right thing? Or do you think that this is a technicality and Billy Joe should be allowed to fight? Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below on that. We're going to jump to the next topic, but stay in the UK. Mir Khan and Kell Brook are close to having a fight signed, sealed, and delivered for February, perhaps. It looks like maybe February. They've agreed on 147 with a 10-pound rehydration clause, meaning they can come in the next day weigh 157. This was a sticking point. They really couldn't agree on a weight. Brook has fought his last fight against Rabchenko back on March 3rd, I believe, at 154. Dominating performance, looked really good against a rugged 154-pound veteran. Looked good. Got a second-round stoppage. He would not be big for 154. He's very big for 47. But the monsters at 54, Charlo, Munguia, and of course, Trout and Hurd. Trout's a big 154 pound too, but Jarrett Hurd and Munguia are huge. Charlo's really big, and so is Trout. Those boys are big at 154. He would be small compared to those guys, even though he was big for 47. It's just the junior middleweights are massive now. I saw a picture of Jarrett Hurd sitting next to Kelly Pavlik. And Pavlik fought all the way up to light heavyweight. And Hurd was bigger than him. It's like, how does this guy make 154? But back to the Brook and Khan fight. So they agreed to 147 and a 10-pound rehydration clause. So that seemed to be like the biggest hurdle, right? I don't know why. Khan's fought at all different weights, including he fought at 150 catchweight against LaGreco. He fought Khan at 155. So in his last 3 fights, only Samuel Vargas was at the 147 limit. So I don't understand. He fought Phil LaGreco just a couple months before that at 150. So what was the big deal about fighting Brook at a catchweight? Why not fight Brook at 150 or 151 or something? Why did it have to be at 47? Well, I'm guessing he wants the advantage. I'm guessing he wants to fight a drained version of Kell Brook. I guess. It is what it is. I guess it's good news that this fight's going to be made, most likely. I know if you're in the UK, to my UK fans listening, this is big news. You guys were looking forward to this fight when Amir Khan signed that lucrative multi-fight deal with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. This was the fight you were anticipating, and you're excited for it. To me, not so much. This fight really does nothing for me. Just off the top of my head, this is not an official prediction, but I think Brook wins. I think Brook is too much for him in the pocket. I think Brook knocks him out in an entertaining scrap, in a fairly even fight early on, and Brook stops him probably around 8 or 9, because we know about Khan's chin. This is a fight between two fighters with beautiful skills, but their best days are behind them. One guy has a chin made out of paper mache, and the other guy has broken eye sockets. Regardless of who wins, though, the fight, either Brook or Khan, neither of them can beat Spence or Bud, and we can't even get a fight. Let's say Brook won, which I would pick him to win. You can't even get a rematch with Porter for reasons we'll get into next. So really, what's the point of this fight, right? Look, if Brook goes back to 154, he definitely can't beat Hurd or Charlo. So throw that idea right out of your head right now. So, this is kind of like a fight for a bronze medal. It's like, well, who cares? These guys can't go on and win a major strap against one of the top guys at 47 or 54 if you're Kell Brook. So what's it really for? It should be a good fight. I'm a fan of both fighters as far as their skill set, especially Kell Brook. And Amir Khan's hand speed is just mesmerizing. It really is. But he leaves his chin up, and then when his hand speed slows down, he gets caught. And that's what's going to happen here. And Brook's a master boxer, so I don't even know if Khan will build the lead on the scorecards, because Khan is a very difficult fighter to win rounds against, specifically early, right? When he's very defensively responsible, he has the hands up in a high guard, he's firing that jab, and it's difficult to hit him, and his hand speed is so fast, so electrifying, that he can land at will and just take rounds, put rounds in the bank, build up a lead in the scorecards. Brook is really good. Brook's a really skilled fighter who's just damaged goods right now, as is Khan. So I think at their peak, Brook beats him, and I think they're both equally broken down. I think they're both equally old and fatigued, so I think Brook still beats him. But we will see. Let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for this fight? Does Brook versus Khan do anything for you? I know if you're in the UK, you're probably excited about this. I wrote an article on this, fightpost.uk. You guys can check that out. But let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts, comments below who you think will win and if you're excited for this fight. Last topic of the day. Sean Porter, who we spoke about before, is mandated to fight Keith Thurman and Andre Berto. So 2 rematches. what does this do to a potential unification fight with Errol Spence? Right? Would a unification fight with IBF champ Errol Spence take precedence? If so, then this is going to go on for a bit, right? Let's look at this. Keith Thurman says he wants a tune-up fight, but he only fights once a year. So let's say Keith Thurman took a tune-up fight in December or January. Well, he doesn't fight. He only fights once a year. He usually takes at least 9-10 months off when he fights. So that would put this fight at the end of next year. 12 months out or more from this fight, from today. Does that make sense? All right, because Keith Thurman, let's say Keith Thurman takes and I'm not saying he is, we don't know what Keith Thurman is doing. I doubt he will, but let's just say for the sake of this conversation, he signed something today for either December or January, right? Keith Thurman would then want 9 to 10 months off, possibly a year or more, to get ready for the Porter fight. He'll have more fake injuries, more fake car accidents, etc., etc., and he will want to push this fight back until the end of 2019, the end of next year. Does Porter have to wait for him? I mean, can Porter take the Andre Berto fight in between? I don't know. And where does Errol Spence come in, right? Because I would doubt that he would fight Spence and then fight Keith Thurman consecutively, right after fighting Danny Garcia. If he did, I'd give him a ton of credit, but that's a lot of tough fights to take in a row. So we need to come up with a time frame on this, right? So let's say he fights, and Kenny Porter, Sean's daddy, said that he was not looking to get back into the ring until the summer. Let's say he took off till the summer and came back and fought Berto in the summer, or Thurman. Then, let's say June or July, right? Let's say he came back and fought Thurman in June. That means by the end of next year, he would have to take the other mandatory. So let's say November, October, November, December, somewhere in quarter 4, he would then fight Keith Thurman. If he won both those fights, then he'd have the WBA and WBC, and the unification fight with IBF champ would have to be somewhere in 2020, right? Because he only fights twice a year, and those 2 fights are taken up with mandatories. Or if he was able to take the mandatory with Errol Spence, and whoever won that fight would then have to fight the 2 other mandatories, putting one of those mandatories out until 2020, right? Because these guys only fight twice a year. So there's 3 fights. There's the unification fight. There's the unification fight with Spence, and then there are 2 mandatories, right? There's a mandatory with Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. We don't know if he has to take one before the other, especially with Keith Thurman out. Right? I mean, if you have to fight Keith Thurman first, which Keith Thurman was promised by Suleiman the first crack, to me, that would say, okay, he has to fight Keith Thurman first. But what if Keith Thurman has no plans of returning? Can he fight Berto first and then fight Thurman? I don't know. We'll try to get to the bottom of that. There hasn't really been much released on that. But then, typically, unification fights take precedence. So what if he wants to fight Berto and then Spence, or Thurman then Spence? That would put whoever's in that second mandatory spot, let's say it's Berto, that would put him all the way out until 2020. Because he's only going to fight twice next year, especially when Kenny says his dad says he's not fighting until the summer. So he'll fight once in the summer and once in quarter 4. And then the third fight, whoever it may be, will be out until 2020. This is becoming a joke with WBC. They did the right thing by stripping Keith Thurman, and they gave us a good mandatory fight for the vacant title between Garcia and Porter. So thank you for that. But you have to make up your mind here. Look, if Keith Thurman's not going to fight, get him out of the picture. He hasn't fought in almost 2 years. Get him out of the picture. And I want to get into this. So, look, these are 2 rematches for Porter, right? He's fought Berto, stopped him, and then Keith Thurman, he lost that really, really close decision to. Thurman fought Porter 2.5 years ago. In the 2.5 years since, Keith Runtime Thurman has fought once. Yes, it was against Danny Garcia, excellent win. But come on, this is a joke. If Thurman wants to fight Porter, then there's no tune-up, right? Keith Thurman keeps saying, "I want a tune-up." No tune-up. No tune-up. Get back in the ring. You wasted all of your chances. Either get in the ring with Porter, or you're stripped of being the number 1 mandatory. You lose that title. You lose that positioning. If you want to take a tune-up. No tune-ups. You've wasted more. You wasted everybody's time. We know you're not injured. This is silly and ridiculous. Last shot. You want to fight. You want the WBC belt. You're going to fight Porter. Do you not want it? Okay, back in the list. Berto's up. But that's the way it's got to be. But I just don't know what Keith Thurman has on Suleiman that he keeps getting this position. I mean, Keith Thurman was told that he had to fight 2 mandatories. They had to fight Garcia and then Porter. Thurman said, here, take the belt. I don't want it. I don't want to fight those dudes. So they took it from him. And Garcia and Porter fought for the title. Porter won. So, I mean, look, Keith Thurman had to fight Porter. Somehow Berto, by beating Devin Alexander, got back into the conversation. Andre Berto? Why would he be back in the conversation? He took a decision over Devin Alexander. And that's it. That gets you in a mandatory position to fight for the WBC for the green belt? Really? Why are we lowering our standards? I mean, we are really lowering our standards. If beating Devin Alexander, and that's it, puts you in position to fight as the mandatory challenger. Berto is insanely fast and powerful. He's a great athlete and tremendously skilled. However, he's not that good. Right? I mean, it's just like the sum doesn't add up to the parts just don't add up to the sum. He really isn't. He has no defining wins, and he's been destroyed by Porter in the past. I like Berto. I really do. I know him from the amateurs. Great guy. It's not a knock on Berto. I root for him. I really do. But Berto got stopped by Porter. Then took a year layoff. Right? Takes a 16-month layoff, beats Devin Alexander, and now he gets a title shot based on that, right? So you take a 16-month layoff, you beat Devin Alexander, and then you get a title shot. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, in a 16-month span, the only thing you did was beat Devin Alexander, who's not that good, and that earns you a mandatory title shot in a crowded, loaded welterweight division. Who comes up with these rules? And I mean, why are we lowering our standards to such a pathetic level? I mean, come on. Let's raise our standards just a little bit, WBC. It's a little silly. But let me know what you think about this disaster that it has become in the WBC welterweight division. I mean, do we get any unification fights with Errol Spence, whoever that may be? And then how do you think Porter fares against Thurman and or Berto or both? Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for tuning in. For Tuesday night fights, this is 3D Boxing signing off, saying thank you and God bless.
Enjoy 3D Boxing vlog videos? Show us some love by clicking the like button. Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3dboxingvlog.com is also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.